Welcome to Let's Talk Money, Honey, the podcast where we break down the barriers to financial success.
I'm Elise Levy here with Holly Henry, and we're your hosts, two financial advisors on a mission to demystify investing, unravel the complexities of money, and sprinkle a little wisdom into your life.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just dipping your toes into the world of finance, join us once a month as we discuss how to navigate life's financial twists and turns. Just remember, building wealth and living your best life should be empowering, not intimidating.
So listen up and let's talk money, honey. All right, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money, Honey. Today we are continuing our career series and we are focusing on our favorite group of individuals, small business owners. They have such a unique financial situation, and it is really important to just know exactly what's going on and how you can prepare for your future if you're in that role. So, Holly, why don't you lead us off?
Okay, so first, for those of you that may not know me well, I'm actually a small business owner aside from being a financial advisor. I have cabin rentals, I have storage units, and something that Elise and I have talked about several times is we understand that small business owners, they have to wear so many hats. I feel like even as our roles as being financial advisors, we're kind of like our own little small business owners. And so we get that you have to know your business inside and out. You're also like you're the CEO, but you're in charge of marketing. You're in charge of everything.
Payroll,
Payroll. Yes. The buck
HR, all
with
the good stuff.
you. Yes. And so one of the reasons we really just wanted to do this series, targeting small business owners, is I don't feel like it's said enough that you probably want to take the financial aspect, the investing aspect, and get it off of your plate and let someone come in beside you and help you with that. And so we're just going to kind of kick off talking a little bit about retirement options. And one of the ones that I feel like is completely relevant is especially for really small businesses, talking about just like the mom and pop, is the solo 401ks. And it's one that Elise and I have actually been talking off the air about. And if you are wanting to put back quite a bit of money, a solo 401k is one. It's not as expensive as a complete 401k to administer, but it's still you can put back quite a bit of money into it. At least I think you had the numbers pulled up on how much they can put back.
Yes, I can go over that. And I also wanted to say that even though it's solo, there is an exception. So if you are a husband and wife and work together and own the business together, you guys can both participate in the solo 401k. So that is a really good bonus without having to do a full 401k plan. So keep that in mind. But like Holly said, those numbers, so you can make two contributions to your solo 401k. One is as an employee and one is as an employer. So the employee is the standard yearly contribution rate for 401ks. 2025 is 23,500. And then as an employer, you can also do 25% of your compensation up to the max uh, contribution number, which for this year is 70,000. And then there's also always that catch up if you're over 50. So those are big numbers. Why is that such a benefit? Because it is lowering your taxable income and it is all tax deferred growth in that 401k, as we know. So you're not going to pay tax on it until you take money out in retirement. So if you're kind of juggling the books and working really closely with your accountant, this is a really powerful tool to help with taxes and manage all of that.
Yeah, and I do also want to add that typically, and not that we ever want to think about bankruptcy, but let's just say as a small business owner, we all know that a frivolous lawsuit could happen at any time. And if for whatever reason you lose your business, typically these retirement accounts are shielded from bankruptcy. And so I always say that you've got to just kind of think of these retirement accounts as like extra insurance for you and your money. This is money that yes, we are setting aside for retirement, but typically it can't be touched in any type of bankruptcy court.
Yeah, 100%. And then as you start to grow and maybe you're taking on an employer too, or you have 10 employees, there becomes more options. So you can do just a traditional 401k plan. There's also simple IRA plans, which are kind of designed for smaller businesses that kind of want to stay small. They don't want to grow to a 100-person policy. And those are really great options as well. Those will need a third party administrator, and you'll need to be working with them pretty closely for all the paperwork stuff. But that gets to happen as your business grows as well.
Yeah, and so we also think it's very important though for small business owners, well, and a lot of people to have a Roth IRA.
I know
Again,
these tips are like, yes, for small business owners, but also there's good tips for everyone.
yes, yes, and so a Roth IRA, it's key. It's after tax, so you're not going to get any tax benefit from it. But if you are living kind of high earner lifestyle, and this is going to probably continue through retirement, then again, a Roth IRA is great because you're going to have this pot of money that you can pull out later at retirement and it not impact your taxes because you're not going to pay taxes on it. And so again, we just always say that this is really good, and I feel like it's especially prevalent for small business owners.
100%. And I think like, best case scenario, your business takes off and maybe you sell the business at retirement, or maybe you don't, and you're still getting that stream of revenue. So you will want to think about your income level in retirement and how to mitigate that if possible. And the Roth is such a powerful tool. So we kind of mentioned it earlier on, but more than anyone, the small business owner, it's so important to delegate and
Mhm.
just build your team. And we speak from experience, both Holly and I being financial advisors, independent financial advisors, we're our own little small business. So hiring those people or working closely with those people that you can really just know that they have their expertise and they can give that to you in your business. So, number one is accountant. We've said it before. I'm going to say number two is your financial advisor. I want to prop us up as well. Who are some other people that they should really be working closely with, or technology, or something like that?
And I think even an attorney, I think sometimes, especially with small businesses, so much of their assets are tied up in the small business. And so we want to make sure that in case of any type of devastation, emergency, someone passes away, that legal documents are in place. Normally, trusts need to be established. Even for small businesses, like we got to make sure that there's a contingency plan. Insurance agents. These are all people that you want on your team. And I think it's important that with most financial advisors, we can point you to the right people to be on your team. And again, like for Elise and I, we look at very holistic planning. And so we come in and we say, this is the red flags. And it isn't just necessarily in your finances. We look over your insurance, we look over all of it, and we say, we may not can do this for you personally. Here is someone that we need to add on your team. And I think, especially for small business owners, and this is something that Elise and I may be even guilty of ourselves, we our main assets are our small businesses. And so you can almost have so many people think at retirement they're just going to sell their business and that's all that they need. And when retirement comes for whatever reason, that may not be the case. It can be very illiquid. It may not be able to sell when you want it to sell. And so you have people like financial advisors that are coming along and you doing financial planning and saying, let's look at retirement plans. And again, let's bring in the insurance agent to make sure that if an emergency happens, you're properly insured. The accountant, I think, is so big. And I will say, as a small business owner, I typically meet with my accountant in the fourth quarter and go, how much am I going to pay and what do I need to spend? Um, because at the end of the day, none of us wants to send money to Uncle Sam. And so you start developing that plan because I think we can all say we work very hard for our money and we want to keep as much as we can in our pocket. And it's not fun to bring on these people as a team. It's not. It's kind of time consuming, but I think once you get your team established, you're going to be very thankful that all these people are alongside of you.
100%. And I think just going back to what you said earlier, it's like small business owners, your strength is taking nothing and turning it into something. And like those building years, that's like what you guys are so good at. But it's hard to think about the end and the selling of it and like what happens when you walk away from the business. And that's really where financial planning plays such a key role, and making sure you have all of the right things set up, whether it's a cross purchase agreement or whatever you need, and really understanding what that next step of when you walk away looks like and making sure it's as good as you want it to be. Exactly, because I think we all have an idea of what we want to happen, but the realistic part of it really comes into play. And I think knowing how to proceed and having those people on your side when you're in that phase of the business is really critical. So establishing those relationships early and just working in tandem as you become more and more successful.
Yeah.
You have more people cheering you on.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I found for myself and other small business owners is sometimes success can just take off. And you get, as a small business owner, like we've mentioned, we know you wear so many hats and you neglect taking care of investments. You neglect taking care of insurance. You just don't have the time. And as much as I can sit back and say, I get it, I do, that's why we're here. We're here to help take a load off and let you, like Elise said, get back to doing your job. I mean, you are creating magic out of nothing, but I feel like it can become so overwhelming that you do neglect such important areas. And again, why put in all the blood, sweat, and tears that we know that you have to just let something as important as your finances not be taken care of as closely as what they should be? I don't mean to get on a tangent, but like we see it
And I
happen.
think I think it's so true, and I think you have a great insight. So I'm sure everyone appreciates it. But anyways, I think this is like the tip of the iceberg with small businesses. So if you have a specific small business, reach out to one of us. We can discuss a lot more in depth of
Absolutely.
your individual situation because everyone's different. But thank you for listening and tune in next time.